I don't imagine many of you would have been serious weightlifters or are serious weightlifters. I used to do a bit of weight training back when I was a sports coach. One of the exercises that I used to do and some of the people I trained with used to do is something called bench pressing. So I don't know if you know just doing push-ups. Well, it's like doing push-ups, but you use a bar with weights and you lie on your back and you've got to push the bar up. And it comes down and you've got to push it back up again. This is called bench pressing. And when you're doing bench pressing, you're taught you should always have someone to help you. The technical word, or the word it's sometimes used is to spot you. So when you're going to do a bench pressing, you'll say, "Excuse me," to a stranger, "Can you spot me?" And it's always good to have someone spot you who's really tough and really strong. Because what this person does, the person who spots you, the person who is there to help you, they're not there to lift it for you necessarily. They're there to have their hands just over the bar, to stand just behind you. And when you're pushing the bar up, if you're struggling, this person to spot you is there just to help you just a little bit, just to have the hands there. And sometimes they might just say, it's all you, and they're just there for moral support. Sometimes they might need to help you a little bit lift it, and then sometimes, if it's going around your neck, then they need to pull it right up. So this is what it means for someone to spot you when you're doing weightlifting. The reason I talk about weightlifting is because in our life, we are all doing bench presses. We all have a weight that is on top of us that we need to kind of push. So I speak about myself, for example. Just ministry can be a bit like weight training. There are so many things, especially in this time of the COVID pandemic, with all these guidelines being put in place. So many things, so many sacraments we need to prepare people for, but in different ways. I've got to be honest with you. It's like I'm doing bench pressing, and it feels like the weight is too much for me. And the temptation I have is, while I've got this weight, which feels like it's around my neck a bit, I sometimes feel like I just want to push the weight off and just say, forget it. I don't want to do this anymore. And I can definitely relate to the first reading in Numbers, where the people are complaining. I complain a lot. And I'm complaining to God so much and just saying, well, Lord, just take this. I just don't want it anymore. I don't want it anymore. I don't even want help. I just want to get rid of it. And I don't know whether this resonates with you. You, if you are a human being, you have to carry a weight. And the weight might be quite easy to lift at this moment in time. But your weight might be quite heavy for you. And it could be an emotional weight, and something that's very heavy emotionally. It could be a mental weight. It could be a physical weight. It could be the weight of your own sins. And whatever it is, we need someone to help us to lift to a greater or lesser extent. And the meaning of this feast, of the exaltation of the cross, is that Jesus has already lifted the weight. He's like the strong man. He's like the world's strongest man who can lift every spiritual, emotional, mental, physical weight that we and everyone has to bear. And what this means is that this feast of the exaltation of the cross is that we are lifting up this weight, and we're asking Jesus to spot us. We're asking Jesus to lift it with us, but it's not just that. It's almost as if we're saying thank you, if you can believe this. We're saying thank you for the weight that we're having to bear. Because the salvation that God speaks of, whenever you hear the word salvation, that we are saved, we think of being saved in a very kind of black and white way. But in Greek, the word soza, saved, is something a bit wider. You hear about well-being nowadays. Well, actually, the Greek word for saved is more about well-being. It's more about health. And what God wants to do, he wants to save us by helping us to train our spiritual muscles to help us to bear the weight that he's asking us to lift. But we're not alone. And you're not alone. If you're carrying a weight, if you're having to lift a weight, you're not alone. Jesus knows what you are having to lift. And all he wants to do in this Eucharist is to say that I'm here to lift this weight with you. It doesn't have to be too much. Don't push it to the side. Don't just give up on it. Don't try and lift it all by yourself. Do as much as you can and allow him to lift it with you. He'll help you. And this is what we're receiving, the sign and the power that he will help you lift your weight, your cross today. So pray for me that I don't, in my ministry, just say, forget it. It's too much. I'm not doing it anymore. Please pray for me. I need it. I'm serious. And in turn, I will pray for you, everyone here on live stream, that the weight you're having to bear today, that you won't just put it aside. You won't let it crush you. But you will ask Jesus to come alongside you, to spot you, to help lift the cross that he has already lifted himself.